You may be wondering what the little sheets of paper are for. We'll get into it officially like in the service, but I did want to give you a heads up. The little white sheet of paper, this is going to be the one that dissolves away into the water. The sort of pink or blue, or there's a couple other shades out there. This is seed paper. There's some wildflower seeds pressed into the paper. And you're going to, if you'd like, take this home with you to let it grow for the new year. There is going to be a third type of paper for the flame. This is flash paper. I will have it for the folks that want it when you come up. Also, it has playing cards on it because a magician bought out all the regular ones at Magic Etc. this weekend. Wow. So that's the one I could get. All right. So welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church, where compassion leads us to work for justice and equality. I'm glad you came today, and it is my hope that you find something here that nourishes your heart, feeds your mind, and grows your spirit. My name is Tanner Trask, and I will be your worship leader this morning. Be you a spiritual seeker, an atheist, or a theist, Westside is a community of many beliefs, genders, and sexualities, a community of diverse cultural, racial, and class backgrounds, a community of varied abilities and gifts. Some here find inspiration in great books, others in the great outdoors, and others still in great conversations. Whoever you may be, all are welcome in our inclusive congregation. Newcomers and old friends alike, together we say, welcome. Today, like I just mentioned, is a little less traditional Westside Sunday morning. In place of a sort of more common reflection or sermon that we might have here, we will instead be saying goodbye to 2023 while welcoming in 2024. And we will be letting things flow away into the water, bidding a fond farewell to them. Some of you may choose to give something to the flames and create a beautiful ending for it, and others still will take with you something from this year into the new to plant into the earth and nurture new life into. And our service today will end with a ritual adapted from previous years, and I will walk through it with you when the time comes. At Westside, we are raising the next generation of Unitarian Universalists, and we want them to know that they are an important part of our community. Several years ago, we chose to be radically inclusive and to adopt a multi-generational worship, where our services include all family members, so welcome to all children and youth of all ages. There are a number of announcements included in your order of service. Please take any of them with you that you might need reminders for this week or to share with others. I'd like to call your attention to the list of upcoming services in one of these. We do have the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt coming next week. And we're going to have a sub in for Caroline Nixon next week. And then the week after that, I'll be doing a sermon over the Hebrew Bible. So good luck to me. We also have the Betting with Love, the Friday, February the 9th, casino night here at Westside. We do enjoy our little vices here at Westside. So make sure that's on your calendar. And for those of you joining us online or visiting with us today, if you're not already on our mailing list, you can sign up by clicking the link at the bottom of our homepage at the westsideuu.org website. And for those of you in person with us, please take a moment now to silence any devices. Take my own advice. And I invite you now to take a deep breath. And from wherever you are, settle into this sacred space that we create, and let us worship together as we listen to this morning's prelude, Auld Lang Syne, performed by Dr. Yuki Kumamoto, Darren Cote, and Jonathan Sarmiento.
Morning, everyone. Just a little note on the program. Jennifer had to work at the hospital this morning, so she was unable to make it. So please help me out with the chorus as you are able. Thank you. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. And surely you'll buy your pint cup, and surely I'll buy mine. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. And there's a hand, my trusty friend, and give us a hand of thine, and we'll take a right good willing draught for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne.
Thank you. Our opening words today are Coming Together at the Year's End by Paul Vachon. As we come together, let us pause to take stock of the year now concluding, its moments of happiness and hurt, its times of accomplishment and failure, and its occasions of inspiration and fear. We add these experiences to the tapestries of our years and look bravely towards a new horizon. And as do many Unitarian Universalist congregations, we begin our time together with the lighting of a chalice. I invite Dana Tooley to come forward and light our chalice this morning. The chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith and represents the Unitarian Universalist Association, or UUA. The flaming chalice symbolizes the heritage of our past, the warmth of the warmth of community and the light of hope within this church today. The chalice lighting words today are "A Flame to Light Our Path" by Deborah Burrell. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace. And our opening hymn today is number 347, Gather the Spirit, in the gray hymnal. Please stand as able and join our song leader, Darren Cote, as well as the previous musicians.
Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Now separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our day good food. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sin. compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with every and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Please remain standing and join me in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to work for justice through action, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow together in harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. You may be seated. And please come forward if you are young at heart or would like to have a close-up view for our time for all ages presented by me. If we don't have any kids coming forward, I can just stay over here. It's fine. Our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Nikki, is not here today, but she'll be back, of course, next week with our sort of full service stuff. So the story I'm going to be telling today is The Rebirth of the Sun by Starhawk, Diane Baker, and Anne Hill. So I am going to tell a story about when the sun was born again. It was the middle of winter, and the sun had grown very cold. All year long, the sun had worked very hard, rising and setting day after day. All year long, the sun had fed everybody on earth, shining and shining, giving energy to the trees and the flowers and the grasses, so they could grow and feed the animals and birds and insects and people. All year, the sun's gravity held tight to the spinning ball of the earth and the twirling ball of the moon and the 8 other whirling planets as they traveled around and around and around until the poor sun was dizzy watching it all. Now, the poor, tired sun could barely make it up in the morning, and after a very short time needed to sleep again. And so the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer, until the day was so short it was hardly worth getting up for. Night felt sorry for the sun. "Come to my arms and rest, child," she said. "After all, I am your mother. You were born out of my darkness billions of years ago, and you will return to me when all things end. Let me cradle you now as I shelter every galaxy and star in the universe." So night wrapped her great arms around the sun, and the night was very long indeed. "Why does the dark go on so long?" asked children all over the earth. "Won't the sun ever come back again?" "The sun is very tired," said the old ones, "but maybe, if If you children say thank you for all the things the sun does for us, the light may return in the morning. So the children sang songs to the sun. They thought about all the things the sun gave them. And if any of you children out in the audience can think of something you're thankful for that the sun has given you this year and want to raise it up and say thank you to the sun, now might not be a bad time.
Warm my back.
Good riding weather.
Absolutely. Thank you for growing the lettuces and the corn and the rice and the wheat, they said. Thank you for growing the trees of the forests and the seaweed in the oceans and the krill that feeds the whales. Thank you for stirring the air and making winds that bring the rain. Thank you for the warmth on my bones. Thank you for this fantastic riding weather. And every time a child said thank you, the sun began to feel a little warmer, a little brighter. Wrapped safely in the arms of night, the sun grew younger and younger. At last, the children had gone to bed. We will stay up and wait for the sun to rise again, the old one said. You should get your sleep. And the children said, but can't we stay up too? Well, you can try, but you will get too sleepy, the old one said, which is a chorus familiar to many of us from New Year's Eve's past. But you can each light a candle, because all fire is a spark of the sun's fire. Put your candle in a very safe place and let it keep vigil for you as you sleep and dream of sunrise. So the children lit their candles and put them in a very safe place. And each flame was a little spark of the sun's fire. And the sun peeped out from between the arms of night and saw all the little fires and began to feel warmer and brighter and younger still. Early in the morning, the old ones woke the children. Together they climbed a high hill and faced to the east, the direction of the sunrise. They sang songs to the sun and ran around trying to keep warm. They waited and waited to see what dawn would bring. And the sky began to turn from black to indigo to blue. Slowly the sky grew light, and a golden glow crept over the horizon. Night opened her great arms, and in a burst of brightness the sun appeared, new and shining and strong. For in the long night the sun had rested well, and grown young from the songs and the thanks of the children, young as a brand new baby born out of night once more. Everybody cheered, and the children jumped up and down. The sun has returned, the sun is reborn, the people cried. And they danced and sang to celebrate the birth of a new day, and then went home for breakfast. And we'll play the kids back with number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple."
Good morning. I'm Barbara Crotty, and I'm your pastoral care associate this morning. In our community here at Westside, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person in this community has value. Submit your joys and concerns to the team by completing one of these forms at the welcome desk outside or emailing us at pastoralcare@westsideu.org or contacting me, John Fisher, Jane Hardwick, Carol Kappa, or Brenda McKeon, who are the current members of the team. We share our concerns with one another today, knowing that sorrows come into each person's life and knowing that together we offer comfort. And one great concern that we have right now is that our dear Caroline Nixon Rodriguez has had major complications from her last surgery, and as of Saturday night is still in the hospital. Her diagnosis includes postoperative pneumonia and cardiomyopathy. Caroline welcomes cards and memes that are somewhat funny, but not too funny because too much laughing hurts. You can send these to her home. The joy is that it happened last Thursday, and she feels the support and love in the West Side community, and is so very thankful. Another concern is from Carol Kappa, that her sister-in-law, Carrie Kappa, is recovering after being attacked by a friend's dog in her home yesterday. A joy and concern is that Carol had a fender bender on Tuesday night on her way to pick up her sister at DFW Airport. Luckily, no one was hurt, and the car is drivable, so that's the joy part. And a concern for me personally is that coming Wednesday, I'm getting a new knee. So I'm rather nervous, and I'm hoping that my recovery goes well. We also share joys with one another, knowing that joy comes into all our lives, and knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. So in addition to the joy that Carol and her car are okay, and that I am sure I will have a very good outcome from my surgery, we don't have any other joys to report this morning. So we make space each week for musical centering, knowing that the life and experience of every person matters, and together our lights shine brighter. And the centering song today is, "We hold all the joys and concerns among us, both those spoken and unspoken. Let us sing our centering song, number 1053, in the Grain hymnal, How Could Anyone?" I think 1053 would be in the teal hymnal. In the 1053.
How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Thank you. So next up, we will be doing our meditation. I'll be leading that this morning. I invite you to relax your mind and body and join in this time of meditation. It will begin with an introduction before we move into a minute of silence. Our bell will sound to signal the start of your own meditation, prayer, or reflection, and it will sound again at the end. The meditation this morning is called Meditation on Winter Celebrations by the Reverend Elizabeth Strong. We are in the midst of the season of celebration. Celebrations of the birth of new hope, of the festival of lights, of the triumph of freedom. The darkness of the year is lifting, and the time of light grows longer. We have gathered with an anticipation of hope for peace on earth and in our homes. We have gathered in this season of celebrations, seeking comfort to soften the pain and the losses our lives have suffered in the fast retreating year. We have gathered to worship joyfully within this season of celebrations, within the tenderness and love of family and friends around us. Let us be embraced by the strength and power of this sacred space that we each bring as we create this beloved community. Let joy and sorrow join in the fullness of our living. Let the power and strength we embody join us together as we move through the seasons of celebration into a new year with a new vision of hope for peace on earth. Let us be silent together. May we be good company to one another in our questions and our journey. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. And here at Westside, we practice our UU faith in a variety of ways. One of those ways is by giving 100% of gifts to our weekly collection, unless otherwise designated, to support organizations who carry out our transcendent values of compassion, justice, and equality. Like all fifth Sundays of the month, this Sunday is a little different than normal. At Westside UU, we value the times we can gather together and share our lives with one another. As our church community grows, we want to expand the opportunities for fun and games, celebrations and sorrows, and memorials and ceremonies. Our fifth Sunday plate offerings will help offset the cost of these special offerings so that everyone in our church community can celebrate and participate. Please give as you can so that we can expand our game nights, potlucks, picnics, special outdoor services, celebrations of life, and community outreach programs. And while we're taking the financial offering, let us enjoy this musical offering. What Are You Doing? New Year's Eve by Frank Lesser. Thank you for putting into practice the spiritual virtue of generosity. Our giving connects us to the wider web of our community. And thank you also for the members here keeping your stewardship commitment current to keep our congregation's important work going. And today's reading is A Seed Knows How to Wait, written by Hope Yaren. This reading is an excerpt from Hope's book, Lab Girl. A seed knows how to wait. Most seeds wait for several years before starting to grow. A cherry seed can wait for 100 years with no problem. What exactly each seed is waiting for is known only to that seed. Some unique trigger combination of temperature, moisture, light, and many other things is required to convince a seed to jump off the deep end and take its chance, to take its one and only chance to grow. And a seed is alive while it waits. Every acorn on the ground is just as alive as the 300-year-old oak tree that towers over it. Neither the seed nor the old oak is growing. They're both just waiting. Their waiting differs, however, in that the seed is waiting to flourish while the tree is only waiting to die. When you go into a forest, you probably tend to look up at the plants that have grown so much taller than you ever could. You probably don't look down, where just beneath your single footprint sits between 100 and 1,000 seeds, each one alive and waiting. When you are in the forest, for every tree that you see, there are no less than 3 million more trees waiting in the soil, fervently wishing to be. When the embryo within a seed starts to grow, it basically just stretches out of its doubled over waiting posture, elongating into official ownership of the form that it assumed years ago. The hard coat that surrounds a peach pit, a sesame or mustard seed, or a walnut shell mostly exist to prevent this expansion. In the laboratory, we simply scratch the hard coat and add a little water, and it's enough to make almost any seed grow. I must have cracked thousands of seeds over the years, and yet the next day's green never fails to amaze me. Something so hard can be so easy if you just have a little help. In the right place, under the right conditions, you can finally stretch out into what you're supposed to be. Each beginning is the end of a waiting. We are each given exactly one chance to be. Each of us is both impossible and inevitable. Every replete tree was first a seed that waited. Now, the New Year's ritual that we're going to do today is adapted and inspired from Erica Hewitt's Releasing the Year Behind Us ritual that we've done in the past. So we will go over some words together. You'll have a chance to, if you'd like, write a word or two on the paper you have, and then you'll have a chance to come forward and either dissolve away the paper in the water, or again, I'll have some flash paper if you need a more dramatic goodbye to what you're leaving behind in the new year. And I'm not 100% sure if I have enough for everyone because, again, and it's weird to be saying this from a pulpit, the magician bought them all out. But I will have these up here over at the table with the candle if anyone would like to use it. The new year calls us forward, filled with mystery. As we turn toward that new year, we take a final glimpse of the past year and reckon with all that it held for us. You were given, like I mentioned earlier, 2 small sheets of paper. This is the one that will be dissolved in the water, the sort of plain white sheet. And this colored sheet is seed paper. It has seeds pressed into it, and you'll be invited to take this home with you to plant it as you will. Reflect on the year behind you. Consider what you might leave behind today, dissolving it completely so that it changes form and disappears. What parts of our lives, what things or ideas or people, what ways of living have become obstacles to our becoming the people we want to be, the people we need to be? What's holding you back? What's getting in the way of you living as fully as you'd like to? With what might you do away? What will you relinquish? You may write a word or two on the paper or just set your mind, sort of a mental intention. Nobody will see it except for you, the water, and the universe. Or is there something that requires maybe a more dramatic send-off? Is there something you wish to sever from the past by giving it to the flame instead of the water? We do have specially treated paper that will burn away in an instant. And for the next few minutes, some music will invite you forward so that you can put your paper in the water. The water in the bowl comes from our ingathering water, which is the closest thing most UU churches have to holy water. The water will take the paper quickly, though a quick stir of the ladle may be needed to help it along. And if you wish to use the flash paper, come see me by the candle. We will put it to the flame. put one last paper in to represent anything that we need to say goodbye to this year. Not quite. Sometimes things are like that. You say goodbye and then they don't quite leave. And one last spark, one last thing, one last boundary, one last hard line of separation for anything you may need between 2023 and 2024, we give to the fire. Now, I was never a magician, but I was a Cub Scout once upon a time. And just in case anyone was worried, we did have this ready to go. Be prepared. Now, the last piece of paper you have, again, is this seed paper. Think about what you want to bring with you into the new year. Maybe it's something or someone that has been with you for many years, and you wish to rededicate yourself to keeping that in your life. Maybe you have something new you want to invite into 2024 with you. And as we finish up our service today, take a minute and write it on the seed paper. And when you take this home with you, make sure, for best results, to soak it in water for a little bit, and then bury it under a small, soft layer of dirt to allow it to take those intentions and see if these seeds will grow. And let us look to the new with hope, with curiosity about its many unknowns, and with faith in our strength to navigate it with grace. And please stand as you are able and join in our closing hymn, number 350 in the gray hymnal, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time. And my apologies for the last hymnal mix-up. This one's definitely in the gray hymnal. Forgot to put teal hymnal on the last one.
The ceaseless flow of endless time, no one can check nor stay. We'll view the past with no regret, nor future with dismay. The present slips into the past, and dreamlike melts away. The breaking of tomorrow's dawn begins anew today. The past and future ever meet in the eternal now, to make each day a thing complete shall be our new year vow.
Our closing words today are "Make Mistakes" by Neil Gaiman. For this year, my wish for each of us is small and very simple, and it's this: I hope in this year to come you make mistakes. Because if you are making mistakes, then you are making new things, trying new things, learning, living, pushing yourself, changing yourself, changing your world. You're doing things you've never done before, and more importantly, you're doing something. So that's my wish for you, and all of us, and my wish for myself. Make new mistakes. Make glorious, amazing mistakes. Make mistakes nobody's ever done before. Don't freeze, don't stop, don't worry that it isn't good enough or that it isn't perfect. Whatever it is, art or love or work or family or life, whatever it is you're scared of doing, do it. Make your mistakes next year and forever. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place, and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. And now, join me in our congregational closing. Go in peace, seeking justice. Go in peace, committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. Go in the peace that is created when, together, we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Thank you all very much for being here.